welcome to all of you, wherever you may be watching. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. Let's get to it and remind you that we're keeping tabs on the 2023 election, which is now 25 days away. Interesting. Oh, elections are here. So for those of you who are still thinking that maybe you still have some days, no, you do not. INEC has extended the deadline for the collection of PVC. Why don't you take that opportunity, get your PVC, and experience getting your leaders into position in 2023? So it's 25 days, and we are counting down. Count down with me. Hashtag Nigeria decides, everyone. Tonight, we have the privilege of speaking with a leader of the APC in the National Assembly. And he's a leader of the APC also in Kano State. There are a lot of issues. He's one of those who have voiced out, no matter what the crisis or the situation may be. He was in Daura to meet with the president. He's one of those who think that the CBN governor is not doing the right thing. He's one of those who also think that APC in Kano and in the north will only stand a chance if they unite. And tonight we'll be speaking with the leader of the House, the majority leader in the House, Honorable Al-Hassan Ado Dogowa. He joins me live right here in Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Sheuna Kimbale. Good evening, viewers and listeners.
Maybe I should begin, before I get into the affairs of your party, I should begin with the response. You released a statement shortly after the president met with the CBN governor, and you were in Daura with the governor of Kano State to consult with the president. But you said that you do not accept what the CBN governor has done, and you want him to fall in line. What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think you are right, Sheun, and based on the release that I have made yesterday, it was like in a very swift response or reaction to the statement issued by the central bank governor, who he said that he has gotten the mandate or the approval of Mr. President to extend the expiry date for the old naira note exchange and the swap process by 10 days. Mm-hmm. And then naturally, as a committee, as a legislative committee, with the full mandate of the House, then I needed to react because it has fallen squarely on the subject matter that I'm in charge. And what I said is not only my position as a member or my position as leader of the House of Reps, is the position of the committee, and by extension, the position of the House of Representatives. And no more, no less. What I simply said is that that extension by 10 days for us is inconsequential. It's a mere gimmick or an approach by the CBN governor perhaps to water the ground for some other reasons. But what the House is out for in the first place, there was a summons inviting the central bank governor legitimately and by the orders of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He was supposed to honor the summons of the House. He did not. We gave him a second chance to come. He refused to come. And on the strength of that, the House was actually worried about his own stance. And at the end, the Speaker made it very, very clear to the public and on the floor of the House at plenary that definitely the House will have no option than for the Speaker to use the instrumentality of our legislative powers to invoke relevant sections of the law to sign a warrant that will compel, will direct the Inspector General of Police to compel appearance on the part of the CBN governor. This is the position of the law. And when he made that release, as far as we are concerned, it does not also come in line with the position of the law that established the central
What Femba Gadiamila said on the floor, is that a position of the House to threaten the CBN with a warrant of arrest, or the position of the entire House of Reps?
Oh, that is exactly the position of the House, because
recommended to him by the committee.
Not by the committee. It was the position of the House after a lengthy debate on the floor of the House.
So it wasn't Femba Gadiamila's position?
It was not his position. It was a ruling. It was a ruling arising from discussions among members of the House on the floor of the House.
Does the House have the power to seek a warrant of arrest on the CBN governor?
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's a constitutional power. given to the Speaker of the House through the instrumentality of legislative functions and duties. He has that right, just as like the Senate President has the same in the Senate. The House of Representatives, through the Speaker, can issue a warrant through the Inspector General of Police to compel any Nigerian, not even a public servant like the central bank governor, any Nigerian, including your humble self, when there is a cause for you to appear before the House.
I'm a private citizen.
Oh, yes, of course, you are a private citizen. But you are a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yeah, but
if the House,
there are exceptions to people like us.
You can't be exceptional as long as you call yourself Nigerian. As long as there is an issue that desires or warrants your appearing before the House or its committee, then definitely you can be compelled to appear before it through an arrest warrant. So what the Speaker did was like using the powers he has conferred on him by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not even by our rules.
What happens
by the Supreme
to the independence of the CBN?
What
happens to the independence of the CBN?
The independence of the CBN does not fall beyond the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No one can be greater than the law.
So
not even the CBN.
What is the House now, leader? What is the House asking the CBN to do, the governor to do?
What we're asking the CBN governor to simply do through the committee is for the CBN governor to appear before this committee, interact with this committee, brief us, give us reasons why he must issue this kind of policy at this period. Why do you want to redesign naira when you have less than 30 days to elections? Why do you have to set a deadline that contradicts the position of the CBN Act, which established the bank and yourself as governor of the bank? The act is very clear. Very, very obviously clear in black and white that section 20 sub 3 of the act says that notwithstanding any part of the law, notwithstanding any part of this act, that when the president allows for a redesign or change of naira note, that can happen. But the old naira note must be allowed to operate for as long as they are in circulation until and unless when they are naturally mopped up from circulation. Of course, you can fix a time for them to cease being a legal tender. You cannot use it perhaps in a plaza or in a filling station to buy and trade with it. But the value of the naira, whether in old currency or in a new currency, remains sacrosanct, and it has to be redeemed when presented at any commercial bank.
Well, leader, what happened to the consultation by the CBN with the National Assembly before they made that public? Because the defense of the CBN is that there were consultations with the CBN, I mean, with the National Assembly before they made the pronouncement. Why is it that it is now that the National Assembly is finding fault in the work of the CBN, which they have given reasons for the redesign?
You see, Sheun, I want to be very, very frank with you. I've been a very frank person. And I want to tell you, except for discussions to do with the cashless policy of government, which of course is a global process, is a global system that we want to also encourage Nigerians to also have same in our economy. National Assembly was never consulted one way or the other, even through our relevant committee. The central bank, I want to put it to you, did not consult even our relevant committee, standing committee, as to how to redesign naira and as to how to put deadlines and issues surrounding the issue of the redesign of naira. We were not consulted. I am number 3 in the hierarchy of leadership of the House of Representatives. I think if there was such discussion, I should have been told. And I believe the Speaker, who is number 1 in the hierarchy of our leadership, if he was consulted with the effect to redesign in naira and with the effect to also giving deadline, a deadline that contradicts the position of the law.
But does the law say that the central bank should consult the National Assembly?
Yes. Not only the law, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says that the central bank, being an financial institution of the land, the affairs bank, must at any time, at all times, when they want to embark on a policy, new policy, they must have to consult relevant committees or the leadership of the National Assembly before they undertake such policies. They did in the case of cashless policy. You remember we invited them. The governor was not able to make it as usual, and he let us send the deputy governor, the lady from Niger State. She came and explained all these things to us. For that, I can say we were consulted. Cashless policy of the government. But I want to tell you without any fear of contradiction, Sheun, that no one man, no one person, whether the governor or anybody acting in his own capacity, has approached the National Assembly or the House of Representatives to be in particular about the redesign of naira. It was purely their business, and we feel taking this taking this process at this moment is going to be very detrimental, not only to the economy of the country, it will be detrimental to the security of the nation, it will be detrimental to the close-by general election coming. Why at this time? Except if they have other pecuniary reasons.
Do you suspect that?
Oh, yes, I do. For someone who wanted to be president and wanted to even purchase form for nomination and did not get it, I won't be surprised if the CBN governor will now have, is now trying to get a second chance to undermine or to scuttle the process of election. This is quite possible.
Is it a suspicion that you have or that your party has?
This is my personal suspicion, and I believe a good number of my party members have this suspicion, justifiable.
Your presidential candidate has this kind of suspicion too.
I have not discussed with him so far.
No, but he made that very popular.
Of course.
That he said that there are saboteurs.
Not only...
Just a moment, he said there are saboteurs in the party, and there are some people using some of these mechanisms, in fact, that are working with the PDP, that the PDP, the campaign council had come out to say the PDP working in cahoots with members of your party or some element in government are trying to sabotage the government and the party.
Sean, I agree very entirely with the presidential candidate who said so. Every reasonable person, every reasonable Nigerian can come up to this analysis, to this explanation as to why engaging into redesign of naira when you have less than 30 days to election. Why this time? You will remember that not even politicians who require some minimum standard or requirement of some cash at hand to operate, even the INEC will require cash to transport some logistics, fuel, diesel, and all other things. The security, their services, their operational allowances are paid in cash. So I wonder how you can create this problem at a very critical period when apparently you cannot be able to cope with the demands, even for the new naira notes to be injected into the system.
Does your suspicion include that this perhaps is political?
Of course it is political.
You think that elements in the opposition are backing this?
It's not even about our presidential candidate. It is about the entirety of all the people running elections under the platform of the APC as a ruling government, as a ruling party. As a ruling party, you cannot separate the government from the party itself. So when an institution of government like the central bank is embarking on a policy that is quite unpopular, a policy that is apparently suspicious, then this will definitely create a lot of problems or injury to the ruling party, because an arm of the government, an institution of the government is now being seen working against the interests of Nigerians. So central bank and the governor of central bank, by what they are doing now, we look at them justifiably to simply mean working with ulterior motives, working to undermine the fortunes of the APC, because as an institution of government, Nigerians will generally judge the central bank as working against the government itself and the ruling party.
The CBN got the permission of the president to embark on this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, presumably, I presume.
No, but you were in Daura yesterday. The CBN governor was there before you people, and he got the approval of the president, and he made it public, that he's gotten the approval of the president for an extension. There was, in fact, at some point, there was a controversy when the Minister of Finance said she wasn't aware about the CBN policy. The presidency said he was aware, and he gave the approval. In all of these things that you said you are suspicious of, the president has consistently said he's backed the CBN governor and he's given his approval.
You see, what I always say is this, that the president as chief executive of the government, or the president as CEC, who of course is the leader of the party, on one hand, I want to also look at the central bank with the MFLA as governor of that bank on another hand. Perhaps when the president is presented with misleading briefing, if you are the president, for instance, and you are presented with a misleading briefing, a briefing that is not quite express for you to even understand the implications therein, then definitely the president is bound to act in the wrong direction. So that is my suspicion. So and that is my own understanding. Let me tell you this.
It comes to something.
Just one point. Just one point. Yeah. So it goes to confirm to you if the president was actually briefed ab initio of what are the implications and the outcomes of the naira redesign, then definitely he wouldn't have come now again to say, oh, let's extend it by 10 days, which means there is an issue. If the president was actually briefed in the right direction and he had agreed and given approval, for the redesign of naira with a specified deadline, then certainly the president wouldn't have come up with another idea. Oh, let's give them another 10 days for the deadline. So, and that is what we're even saying, that even with the 10 days extension, that is not the position of the law, and that cannot be acceptable by the parliament. We cannot accept it as a committee, and the House of Representatives also will not accept it because it contradicts the position of the law.
CBN Act, what does it say?
The CBN Act simply says that when there is a redesign or change of a naira note, it does not mean for the CBN to push out the old naira note by force outrightly within a blink of an eye. The two notes must be allowed to operate in pari passu, shoulder to shoulder, until when the old naira note naturally vanishes in the system. Then you continue to work. Right. But in a situation whereby the new naira note is not available, marketers, businessmen, farmers, civil servants who receive salaries are complaining of unavailability of this new naira note. You cannot just fix a deadline and say, oh, this thing ceases to be a legal tender and it loses its value automatically. So you can stop using it as a legal tender. But the value must be redeemed on presentation at any commercial bank.
Godwin Emefiele has gotten the nod of President Buhari in Daura, meaning that whatever decision the CBN is taking stands. You have issued a warrant, you have threatened a warrant of arrest on the CBN governor as a house. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, so he controls the police and controls the affairs of state. Now, the president has given his approval. Where do you stand? If you issue a warrant of arrest on the CBN governor, where the president controls the police and the armed forces, where do you stand? It does look like he has politically knocked you off the table.
No, in my own view, I don't think the president will act contrary to the position of the law. Muhammadu Buhari is one president that has consistently said his position about the respect for the rule of law. So I always repeat the fact that if Mr. President is misled in taking an action, he is human. Then definitely when you provide explanation to clarify the position of the law, like in this case, which I have, even yesterday in my discussion with Mr. President, I told him pop and plain the position of Section 20, Sub 3 of the CBN Act. And what Emefiele is doing is a direct affront on the provision of this act that establishes the CBN itself and the position of the governor. So I'm sure Mr. President will be one humble leader to understand when he's misled, and he should be able to now come and look at the right thing and take the right
step. So what does
like he's doing now.
Where will the house go from here now?
Of course, we will go we will go to the next level, and the next step for us is to insist that the CBN governor appears before this committee, and if he comes to the committee, he has to also have respect for the rule of law. He must have to have respect for what is provided for in the CBN Act. And what is provided is pop and clear that the naira note cannot be forced out of the system, the old naira note. It must be allowed to just vanish.
So what window are you given?
We don't have, the only window we are giving to the CBN, like I said, is like if he communicates to the speaker between now to Tuesday, when we are going to be sitting, that yes, he's now coming to engage with the House committee, then fine, we will give him that leverage.
If he doesn't?
If he doesn't, then obviously we will now lay our interim report before the House, and the speaker will be under obligation, moral obligation, to write, to sign the warrant of arrest to compel the CBN government.
I thought you guys are in recess.
We are not in recess. We decided, the Senate has gone on recess, but we decided not to go on recess because of this critical matter that borders on the lives and livelihood of our people. When people are crying all over, outcries all over, go to the markets. You have foodstuffs, nobody can buy. Honorable. You have old money, nobody can take. It's Honorable. Like the economy is in shambles now.
The CBN governor has said 1.9 trillion of the notes in circulation had returned to the CBN. So it's just about 900 billion that they are hoping will be mopped up and gotten back to the system. There are those who think and criticize your party that it's just some leaders of your party that are not happy with the decision of the CBN to get the old naira note. One of the reasons is terror financing that the CBN gave, and that the fact that there are those who are stockpiling this money for ulterior motive. And the opposition is saying the reason why some leaders of your party are not happy with this is because of the issue of vote buying. Is that the reason why your party is jittery about this policy?
No, that cannot necessarily be. That is not necessarily our reason. One, like I said, I'm speaking in double capacity. As a member of the House of Representatives, vis-a-vis to my responsibility or duty as chairman of this committee. If, for instance, what the CBN governor is now saying by way of press releases or statements on the street, because I look at this statement as a street statement. When the institution of the legislature, the parliament, the voice of the people is inviting you legitimately to come and address us, interact with us, provide this explanation to us, and you are shying away from that responsibility. So we will take all those things he's saying as baseless.
So your party is unhappy with what is going on?
That is
thinking that it will jettison the chances of your party in winning this election?
That is just on one hand. But when I speak about the policy, jettisoning the process of election at large, I'm not talking simply because as an APC member.
Does it also, Honorable, does it validate, therefore, the talks within your party that there is some discordant tune and the fact that the frustration coming out of some of the leaders of your party is such that maybe the president is not 100% with your candidate, and there are those who think that those who ask that the president should campaign, and the president has said he's going to campaign with your candidate in 10 states, but a few states that the president is being obviously absent. Does that validate the fact that maybe your party is not one on the mandate of Bola Tinubu?
I think all these things are mere speculations. The president is an individual. The president has the right to come out to the press and to the public to state his position. Nobody stops him if he has anything against our candidate. But as far as I'm concerned, I will only use what is available to me. For as long as we started the process, right from the day we elected our flag bearer till today, I've never found any reliable statement from Mr. President or his own spokespersons enunciating to the fact that he's against our...
But is it possible that some people within the president or around the president are doing things that are ulterior to the plans and the...
Oh, that could be possible. That could be possible. But for the president as a person, or for the president as the leader of the party, and the head of Nigeria's government today, which is an APC government, one cannot adduce to any fact as to whether he's against the flag bearer or not. For me, I have attended several rallies, several campaign programs with Mr. President, like the one he did in Jos and the other one he did in Yola, Adamawa State, where he has supported the president and asked Nigerians to vote for our party's candidate. So I don't think Mr. President will have anything against the position or against the acceptability or the electability of our presidential candidate.
Is there a worry about the northern vote for your candidate?
Worry for what? We don't have any worry. I have said this time without number that northern Nigeria is a progressive platform in Nigeria's politics, especially when you speak of a state like my own, Kano. It's a very progressive state. We are aggressive in our programs. We are a radical state where we use parameters, practical parameters, to decide our future, to decide our election decisions. We have done that in the past. I have made mention of the case of 1992 when I was first elected to the House of Representatives with Bashir Usman Topa of blessed memory, who contested under the NRC. And Kano people decided, and their decision was on the basis of what was practically
because the reason why I asked that, Honorable, is that there seems to be a consensus of the northern elite to go not with your candidate.
I'm not aware of this consensus. And if we talk of the northern elite, I am only a political elite as far as I'm concerned. I am a political elite because I can be counted as one of the political big names in the northern part of the country. And there was no such...
Are you resolving the issues within your party, though?
We don't have any issue for now. We don't have any issue for now. APC is united. Our presidential flag bearer remains Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who has gone around states in the north where he was widely accepted. You have seen the kind of unprecedented reception he was accorded in Kano. In fact, I want to say that no other state has given such kind of reception than the one we offered him in Kano. So we don't have any issue. APC is now united. You may not perhaps rule out some minor skirmishes here and there. That may have to do with local interest at the respective states or at the sub-nationals. But as far as the acceptability and our commitment to elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu as our next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the platform of our party, that is completely not under any question.
Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Alhassan Adodogua, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure being with you.
I appreciate it. We'll take a break, everyone, and we will show you some of your political roundup stories to keep you up to date with what is happening around the country in your world of politics. And we'll be right back.
The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has promised to restore peace and security in Zamfara state, which is among the states in the northwest region that have come under banditry attacks in recent times. He stated this in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital, where he assures that the PDP federal government will collaborate with the private sector to revive train services to Zamfara state and other parts of the northwestern region. And the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, today stormed Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, for his presidential campaign rally. He was accompanied by his vice presidential candidate, Senator Kashim Shettima, and some party stalwarts at the Akwa Ibom airport. The campaign team later moved to the venue of the campaign, where he addressed supporters of the party. The senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Kogi Central, Mrs. Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, is promising to sponsor bills and motions that will improve socio-economic development of Nigerians. She was speaking to Channels Television at a rally in Ihima Okehi local government area of Kogi State, where she said if given the mandate, she will promote small and medium enterprises to boost businesses and jobs for the unemployed youths and women.
In addition to being a senator, I'm going to project the very best of values and the very best of our cultural advantage to Nigeria.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says Nigeria is staring disunity in the face because many leaders are more concerned about their selfish interest than the survival and health of the nation. The former president made the statement in Abuja while felicitating with the All Students Association of the Federal Government College, Kaduna, on its 50th anniversary. Chief Obasanjo believes appointments in the government are skewed and lopsided on the basis of nepotism and mediocrity with a disregard for merit and competence. The APC governorship candidate for Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Akanodofia, has hailed last week's judgment of the appellate court, which reinstated him as the APC candidate as victory for democracy. The governorship candidate, who got a rousing welcome by his supporters at the Uyo International Airport, urged members of the APC in the state to pick up their PVCs and come out en masse on the election day to vote for him. The Accord Party has flagged off its campaign in Oyo State with a promise to bring prosperity to the key sectors in the state. The campaign, which took place at Ojaigbo in Ogbomoso, had in attendance the governorship candidate of the party, Mr. Bayo Adelabu, and all national and state houses of assembly candidates. Addressing a crowd of supporters, Mr. Adelabu promised that he will bring his wealth of experience from the financial sector to turn the fortunes of Oyo State around. PDP supporters in Uheli North have staged a rally to show support for the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate Ifeanyi Okowa, and the PDP governorship candidate, Honorable Sharif Oborewori, expressing optimism that the rescue mission of the party is possible. Led by the Uheli North local government chairman, Kesiena Nomoja, the people during the rally insist Atiku Abubakar Okowa ticket is the best combination capable of restoring power back to the people following their achievements in government. The European Union and the International Foundation for Electoral System, IFES, are promising a strong partnership with the Independent National Electoral Commission for a credible election. At two separate events in Abuja, both the officials of the European Union and those of the International Foundation for Electoral Systems underscore the importance of ensuring that the 2023 general elections are peaceful and credible.
Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for staying with us on the program. I still have with me the leader of the House of Representatives, the majority leader that is, Honorable Alhassan Adodogua. I thought I was going to release you, but you're still in my custody, at least for the next few minutes.
No problem.
Now, let's get down to the issues. I was asking you about the internal workings of your party, and you said earlier that everything seems to, except for some elements here and there.
Yes.
But it doesn't look, from the perspective of those of us who are watching from the outside, that it's just a few elements. Maybe I should play you what your candidate said in Ogun State, on which there has been reactions. I'd like us to prepare that. I'd like to play to the Honorable to listen to what the candidate said in Ogun State, and maybe you might be able to make sense of what it means. Let's listen to what Bola Ahmed Tinubu said in Ogun State.
PPC láfi máa gbàjọba lọ́wọ́ wọn. Wọn bá ní kò ṣepo àárín lọ bẹ̀. Kò sí ọgbọ́n dàkúdàkú pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn. Wọ́n lè ní kò ṣepo, wọ́n ti ń dọ́gbọ́n dá ọ̀rọ̀ kò ṣepo lẹ̀ gbàgbé ẹ̀. Ẹ lọ fọkàn balẹ̀, èmi aṣíwájú mo sọ fún yín. Ẹ jẹ́ képo àwọn náà mọ bí náà kó sí. Ẹ kówó pamọ́, ẹ gbépo pamọ́, ẹ gbé náírà pamọ́. A máa dìbò, a máa wọlé, a máa dìbò, a máa wọlé, a máa dìbò, a máa wọlé. Ibi tẹ́ bá gbójú sí ọ̀nà onígbàbẹ̀, àwa la máa wọlé. Àwọn ẹlẹ́gbẹ́ alábùradà yẹn wọ́n máa ṣe kí ni o, wọ́n máa lulẹ̀.
Apologies for that. We must have played a version without the translation. There is actually a version we translated, but somehow it's mixed up there, because Bola Tinubu spoke in Yoruba language. And let me try as much as possible, because I know your Yoruba is as terrible as my Hausa. So,
it's at rudimentary level.
But he's criticized a few things. He said there is a hoarding of fuel. He said there is a hoarding of the currency, of the naira, and the bad management of the state of the naira. And he's spoken about the new note also, and questioned why it is happening right now. And the question I'd like to ask you is, all these policies on all this situation that your candidate Bola Tinubu has highlighted and mentioned are things that are approved, done under President Muhammadu Buhari of the APC. So what does that tell you?
You see, like I said earlier on, Sheun, being a president, for instance, like in the case of Muhammadu Buhari in Nigeria, is one thing on one hand. And when you have a head of an institution coming to brief his boss, like in the case of President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, especially a president who may not have that kind of financial or economic knowledge, a kind of background for him to also be able to differentiate between the chiefs and the rice. He will only act upon submissions and briefing given to him by chief executives of various institutions, like in the case of Central Bank. And I gave you a good example. If Mr. President was actually briefed in the right direction, if he was properly informed of the implications of Naira redesign and the implications of the deadline given by the Central Bank earlier on, Mr. President wouldn't have had any cause now to extend the deadline for 10 days.
Honorable.
So if such things were envisaged...
You're not getting my question.
Okay.
Bola Tinubu criticized at least 3 of these situations, and these situations are under the APC government,
yes,
led by President Muhammadu Buhari. If he's out there on the podium criticizing, and it makes it look like those decisions or policy are meant to sabotage or not to allow him win. And he said, even with all of those decisions, he will still win.
Inshallah.
So the question is there a kind of a crisis between Bola Tinubu and Muhammadu Buhari? Because what he said is not someone saying it for him. It is him saying it.
Perhaps, you know, Bola Tinubu is someone who is operating at a higher pedestal than myself. He may have his sources of information, which, of course, I may not have access to such. But if I should give my own version of judgment, I can only judge Muhammadu Buhari by what he eventually says verbatim. If anybody acting for or on behalf of Muhammadu Buhari, like in the case of Central Bank Governor, or the case of the NNPC, for instance, about fuel shortage, and most especially the fuel shortage issue now, dealing with the NNPC. NNPC is no longer an institution of government. It's a private institution with the coming up of the PIB now in operation.
Is that an excuse?
That could be a good
excuse. For the scarcity of
fuel? Yes, it's a good excuse.
Under a government a properly instituted government.
Of course.
Because I'm going to ask you,
what I'm going to say in essence.
How do you tell? You are a leader of the APC. You have the issue of the fuel scarcity. You have people queuing up at the ATM trying to get the new notes with the fear that the old notes might be expired in their pockets. You have the situation that the naira today, if you have any trading or whatever you want to do on the Parliament, it's about 740 naira to $1. And all of this situation, how do you then tell Nigerians that they should vote for your party?
Oh yes, you see, all these things you are raising, as far as I'm concerned, these are not directly the responsibility of the government itself, because they deal with the financial situation, management of the economy in a free market society. Free market society.
Under your government?
Oh, of course.
But your government preached to Nigerians asking for their vote that they will make life better for them.
The government will only be expected to maybe create an enabling environment for business to thrive, free, without any let or hindrance. But the results or implications of policies brought about by institutions that are privately running their affairs, like in the case of NNPC, which is a private company now. And in the case of, for instance, the central bank, which to some extent is an independent institution that manages the finances of our state, Nigeria, then certain things could have been undertaken by this institution.
Should we then exonerate the APC government from all of these woes?
Oh, definitely not. You cannot, because these are things that are interwoven.
And that's what I'm saying. What do you then tell the voters? What do you tell them? For example, in your constituency, when you go home, are you still able to tell them to vote your party?
Oh, definitely yes. Because even when you have some issues, even when you have some challenges under the government of the day, you will expect that the incoming president will definitely make some amends to some of these problems.
Is that the reason why? Is that
Buhari,
the reason why
the
campaign slogan of your candidate right now is renewed hope?
Of course.
So renewed hope, could it be that there is a failed hope, and that's why you want to renew it?
It's not as if there was a failed hope per se. I remain a member of this government, and I don't regret being associated with the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. There are so many things that we have achieved, and there are so many things we might have failed in as human beings. Buhari is not a spirit. He's also human. Definitely, there could be some issues where he might have failed or did not perform to the expectations.
These failures that you have mentioned, Honorable, do you think that this failure, like the question I asked you, how do you then tell Nigerians to vote for your party with these failures?
Vote for the party, the APC, because someone else is coming in to take charge of the affairs of the country, whom we have hope also that he will build on the foundation earlier laid by President Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, you don't expect the president, like I've always said, to be able to mend fences, destructions made by a 16-year-old misrule by the PDP. Definitely, developments and changes in government will have to be gradual. Buhari has done the much he could do as president of this country over a period of 8 years. Then it is our expectation when the second Buhari comes in, who is Bola Tinubu, he will build on the foundation laid by Muhammadu Buhari, of course with the developments he has laid down, the agricultural policy, the financial system in the society, in the economy, and so many other things, including the security. You cannot tell me that we have not made an inroad in the security infrastructure of the country and the security narratives It has improved. Good or bad, at least we have improved. So our expectation is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming in will build on the foundation laid by the APC government. Where Buhari naturally failed as a human being, we will expect that the new government will develop on that and bring about...
we tell Nigerians that, don't worry, just delete the memory of the last 8 years.
We don't ask anyone to delete any memory. Allow the memory to work. It is even with the memory, working with the memory, that we can be able to improve on lapses of the present government. You must have to admit where
That's
you
why
have a problem.
You chose the Renewed Hope slogan.
Renewed Hope simply means rejuvenating the policies and programs of the APC governed administration.
Guess what the opposition is saying?
It doesn't matter.
Not only one. Just a moment. Maybe we can glean a few things from what the opposition are saying. Not only the PDP or the Labour Party, a few of them are saying that seems to be some disconnect. That your party your campaign is campaigning against your party as though you are running on another platform.
I don't get what you mean.
So based on the question I asked,
yes,
your party has been in power for over 7 years, and your campaign now for Bola Tinubu is campaigning as though you're campaigning on another platform
that is
of the
a clear
party.
Misperception.
That is what the opposition feels.
It's a clear misperception. It's a clear misperception. What we are rather doing, Sheun, is the fact that we own up to what is wrong and admit that we will develop and build on it.
So you're saying that your campaign right now is riding on the achievement of Muhammadu Buhari?
Of course, we are riding on the very good achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari, and we own up to the fact that where Muhammadu Buhari went wrong, then definitely this government will look at that.
So that was
the view.
So we are going back to the last question I asked you. How do you convince the voters, especially in your constituency, that whatever these mistakes or failure that is, as you have described it, are, they should look away from it?
No. We will convince our people on the strengths of the successes and achievements we have made in the government, and we have a lot of them. And where we admit that, oh, it went wrong this way, then we will admit that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming in will definitely work on that and bring about improvement.
So what is
It is politics, and you are dealing with human beings.
Yeah, I asked you.
And you won't expect anyone to be absolutely perfect. Buhari, like I've said, is not a spirit. He's a human being. He could make mistakes. I can make mistakes. Bola Tinubu coming in can also make mistakes.
How often do you go to the street?
But the fact is that it is better when you make mistakes and accept that, oh, I have erred here, and you are willing to change or make amendment than to deny, not to accept that you have made mistakes.
Honorable, how often do you go to the average people, to the street?
I go to the street, especially the streets of my constituency, on almost daily basis. As I'm speaking to you now, I am from Tudunwada local government of my constituency, and I will definitely back to the streets of my local government the next day after tomorrow. I visit my people. I operate like a day student.
How much of the basic price of commodities do you check?
Basic prices of commodities.
Right, price of rice, price of gari, price of beans, price of kerosene, price of basic commodities of an average Nigerian.
You see, basic price, let me just give you this answer. Basic prices of commodities and materials needed by people are not determined by government. They are determined by free market forces.
Are you serious, Honorable?
If you went to school and read economics, you will tell me this answer. Is it for Buhari to decide for the prices of commodities in Dogwa local government?
Is that what you're telling your constituency?
Oh, yes.
That the government is not responsible, for the issues of inflation?
Absolutely not. Inflation and prices of materials, whether food
and food inflation, that the government is not responsible.
Of course,
so who is responsible then?
The market, the forces of the market.
Who control the market forces?
Demand and supply.
Which is controlled under what? Under what factors?
Which factors? Under
who are those who control the indices, Honorable?
The people. The people, the producers, and the buyers, and the sellers.
Is it true? I mean,
this is rudimentary economics.
Is it not deceitful tonight to the people that you're talking to?
This is rudimentary economics. Market situation is determined by those who sell and who are out to buy. Buhari does not determine who buys and who sells. And prices are fixed under that argument.
There are a lot of people who may disagree with you.
They may disagree with me, but that is naturally what it is.
But I'd like us to anchor on this note, Honorable. I was talking to a member of course, yesterday, Mike Igini was on the program, and he said, look, those bankable votes, the days of bankable votes are gone. And those who said Muhammadu Buhari is not going to be on the ballot in 2023. And so a lot of things will change. Does this threaten in any way the chances of your party?
Not at all, for two reasons. One, Muhammadu Buhari, of course, will not be on the ballot. But Muhammadu Buhari is basically on the platform. He's on the podium with the APC. And he has continuously explained his position about who Nigerians should vote as a party.
He's not been there for the past 4 or so
campaigns. As a candidate.
He's not been there. We've not seen him. We didn't see him in Benue.
But he was in some places.
In Akwa Ibom.
He was in places.
We didn't see him in Ogun State.
He was in places. And what you also should understand, that when you talk of Buhari as a person, somebody who came from Daura, northwestern part of the country, you also have Tinubu on one hand, who has come from the southwestern part of the country, who is equally another Buhari in his own region. It's about popularity. It's about commitment of the people to the policies and programs of an individual. When Buhari was coming and he enjoyed what we call bankable votes from the north, it was because the northern people believed he was able to deliver. And he has all the popularity it takes to deliver. And the same thing we have for Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, that in the southwestern part of this country, every well-reasoning southwesterner will believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu can deliver because he has delivered when he was governor of Lagos State. We believe in his capacity. We believe in his patriotism. We believe in his ability to really
what is happening with the people who are afraid that Katsina is slipping off?
So while...
Just remember, you are from the northwest. Those who believe that Katsina is slipping off the fingers of your party, Jigawa is slipping off the fingers of your party. In fact, the votes in Kano may not be deliverable to your party, considering the factors that are there, that is going to be balkanized. There is the deputy vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party from Kaduna State. There is Kwankwaso from Kano State. There is the former governor also who have moved to the PDP in Kano State. All of these forces, there are those who believe that Jigawa is off, Sokoto is off your fingers, and these are major vote bank within the northern region of the country, especially in the northwest, which produces the highest volume of votes in Nigeria. And those who think that if Buhari is not on the ballot, those 10 to 12 million votes will be gone.
No. That you see, you
what's your own calculation?
My calculation is that you are basing your calculations on the basis of social media analysis or academic analysis on the screen of the news television. What is actually on ground, pragmatic features on ground, is that northwestern part of the country, especially where I come from, is an APC zone, and it will remain an APC zone indubitably, and it remains within the hope of the APC. When the election comes on the 25th of this month, of the next month, I'm telling you, I want to bet you that Kano will be delivered for APC. Katsina will have no doubt about that, will deliver. The governor that is working there, and the incoming governor, who is a good friend of mine, of course, Governor Radda, he is well accepted in Katsina.
Even with some of your leaders who have decamped.
Oh, decamping, you can't stop people decamping. There are people who decamped with nobody behind them.
Those who say that they are the soul of the APC in the state.
You decamp with an empty shell. It doesn't make any difference.
All right.
I am telling you that we will deliver from the northwestern part of this country, and I believe the northeastern part of the country, which has taken the second position in our arithmetics, will definitely deliver. We have no doubt whatsoever. APC is in the front, and we're going to sweep the board.
Honorable Alhassan Adodogwa, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. I'm glad.
That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimalo. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7. God bless Nigeria.